Well, here we are, it's the beginning of February, and like I do every month, this is my What I Am Writing With video. In today's video, I will talk about a range of the fountain pens I'm currently writing with, some that have carried over from last month, some that are specific to this month because of reviews, and just some that I just simply love writing with. So, please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. I now have memberships available to this channel where for a small monthly fee, you can join what I'm calling the stationery drawer. In that you will get priority comments, you will get early access to all of my videos, you'll get some members only content like unboxings and first impressions and things like that. And then once we've got a big enough community, I'll start doing some members only Q&A videos as well. So this is all relatively new. I started it last month, but let's get this building and see what we can do with it. I'd love to see you all there. In the meantime, let's look at what I'm writing with in February 2026. Okay, so we have quite a number of pens to go through today, so let's just get cracking. So we'll start with the classic Pelikan M1000. Been inked up for a while. I think the ink is starting to run a little low on this, and I'll be changing the ink this time. But we have here the Pelikan M1000. This is the fine nib, but not fine by other pen brands standards. This is something that you do have to take into account with Pelikan, and I've said this a number of times, and a lot of sort of reviewers do as well. You have to know what each particular brand's nibs mean, and that's why using resources like these YouTube channels and all these videos where we do like nib comparisons and things like that is important. Because you don't want to get, if you write with a regular fine nib or heaven forbid a Japanese fine nib and you got the fine on this, you would be very disappointed. This writes almost as broad as my Pilot broad, and it's a fine Pelikan. So you need to know what individual nib brands or pen brands their nibs actually mean. So the ink in this is Diamine. Sherwood Green. I love this ink, and I love this ink in this pen. So I will be changing it. I like to swap between Sherwood Green and Canal Side from the 160th anniversary set. I'd also really like to try, I can never remember, is it Shinryoku from the Pilot Roshizuku line? I think that would be really nice in this pen as well. But yes, at the moment, Diamine Sherwood Green. Then we have the Gravitas Monster, still working through this. It's just got such a huge ink capacity. Gravitas pens. Monster. And this is the broad. And you can see, like, that is a broad, even in comparison to that Pelikan fine. And the ink in this is still Octopus fluids. I'll just put Octopus fountain fader. So collaboration between the great German ink brand and pen retailer, and this is Sheetvetter. This was my ink of the year for last year. Awesome ink. Great pen for it. It dries, this ink dries really nicely, and because this is quite a wet writer, it really brings out the shading. Like you can look on the M of Monster there, just that shading is really nice and something that I really enjoy about that pen. Next, with my absolute standard go-to, the Wingback stainless steel fountain pen with the little Kaweco Lilliput clip that I put on there. Great EDC pen, lovely writer, always inked up. This is the Wingback. I'll just put a fountain pen because it's stainless steel fountain pen. Comes in a few different finishes. This is a medium. You know, putting into context again, and this is, as always, Diamine Oxford Blue. My go-to writer, like my go-to everyday ink in one of my go-to everyday pens, just absolutely brilliant. This has been living a lot in my Lockby A6 field journal, field folio with my Hobonichi and things like that. So really, really great. Next, we have a pen I haven't featured a whole lot on this channel, and it's relatively new to me. The Pilot Custom Urushi. This is the big one, not the 845. I had a viewer, saying I should try one of these. As you can see, I have one. It's here in my hand. I love this pen, but I don't write with it a whole lot, simply because I actually find it to be just a little too big. Like the 823 is such a great size, and the 845 likewise. This is just, for me, a little big. Like, just for the sake of context, and I don't have this inked up at the moment, but the King of Pen here from Sailor, like that, the Sailor King of Pen is a big pen. You can see the Pilot Custom Urushi is huge. So yeah, it's a big pen, but I do have it inked up at the moment. I haven't found a place for this other than the fact that I really wanted one, like FOMO. I haven't found a place for this in my collection in terms of how I use it. So that will definitely happen. But we have the Pilot Custom Urushi with a medium nib, and it is a beautiful nib. Really, really lovely. And Diamine Imperial Purple. One of the sort of maybe 2 or 3 purples I always go to when I want a purple ink. And I just like it in that pen. I like any ink I've had in this pen has written quite nicely. For me, it's just the size is just, as I said, I haven't found a place for it in, in how I use my pens yet. The next 2 pens are a pair of pens, the Parker 25 and the Moonman, or it says Moonman on the pen, but it's a Moonman or Majohn B25. These are both inked up with Parker Quink Blue Black for the purpose of a video that will be coming out later in the month. So we'll start with the Parker. This one's a medium, and the ink is, as I said, Parker Quink Blue Black. Not my favorite blue black, but I really do like this pen and how it writes. And then we've got the, we'll say Majohn, just because we're being polite, B25. And this is vaguely a fine nib once again. Parker Quink Blue Black. Basically, yes, I'm doing a shootout of these 2 pens, so I won't go into too much sort of detail about them, other than the fact that they both write quite smoothly. The Majohn was my budget pen for last year, and a very, sort of kind viewer had a Parker 25 at a very reasonable price, so I was able to pick one of those up without too much of a worry, and I thought, let's get a little comparison happening, and you can see they both write really well, so that'll be an interesting video. Next, a pen that has been a everyday carry pen of mine for years and years and years, the Lamy 2000. I started with the medium nib on this pen, like when I got it, and I had that for ages, and then I picked up a stainless steel with the extra fine on it, and loved how that nib wrote, but didn't love the feel of the pen as much in the hand, so I swapped it over, so now I have this with a beautiful extra fine nib that is like ever so slightly architecty. I don't know if the camera will pick that up particularly well, but you can see it there. I like that about some of these Lamy, particularly the gold nibs. And in this is Lamy Petrol. Very, very cool ink. Now this is the 2025, I should say, Lamy Petrol. I really like both the original and this one. This sort of deep tealy green, really, really beautiful, great for professional use, and great as an everyday writing ink in a pen that I will always love carrying. Next is the Asvine V800. I reviewed this last year and had to move on from using it, just because I had so many pens and things to review. So I really wanted to give this another solid go. So I inked it up again, and I'm really, really, once again, very impressed with this pen. The Asvine V800. It's a bigger pen. It's got a number 8 size steel nib. This one is the fine, I believe. And it just writes so beautifully. Like, I really like the chatoyance of this material. I don't normally go for, continually go for pens that have these sorts of bright sort of materials in them, but this one's just so nice. Now, the ink in this, I have to get this right. It's Ink Institute. It's from the Taipei Metro series, and this is Benu line. I think this is a very, very nice blue. Ink Institute is not a brand I have delved into a whole lot, but I have a few of their inks. And if this is anything to go by, with the little hits of sheen and that beautiful sort of nice, gentle saturation, they're going to be lovely inks to look at. This particular one I think is such a beautiful match to this pen. Often when I have pens with brighter materials, I tend to pick an ink that, if I want it to match, I tend to pick an ink that is slightly darker. And this is one of those ones. And I think it works really, really well in the Asvine V800. Now, the next few pens are all pens that are being prepared for review. And the first here is the Benu Tessera Sunstone. This is a beautiful pen. Like this, the lighting here, the way this is set up to sort of focus more on the paper, isn't going to show like the beautiful transparency of that material as well as you see it like in person. And when I do the review, I'll show a couple of photos that sort of show it off quite nicely. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous pen. We have the Benu Tessera Sunstone. Gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. It's a fine nib. I really like it. It writes very nicely. It writes smooth. It's writing relatively wet, like, gorgeous. And the ink in this, now this ink choice was inspired by the choices of another pen reviewer who reviews a number of pens in this sort of like tobacco-y sort of coloured material. So the ink is SBRE Brown. It is an ink I am trying to work through that giant bottle of. I think it's a beautiful ink. I really, really like it. But there's so much of it. And I'm trying to set up a new philosophy on my inks and how I use my inks. So I'm really going to enjoy just using this ink and in this beautiful pen at the moment. So yeah, really, really nice. The next review pen is this. This is the Gravitas Entry in copper. Now I have put a Kaweco clip. That's the clip that's designed for the Supra pen model on here. I tend to be doing that a bit more recently with some of my pens, particularly the ones that I kind of carry as proper EDC pens. Like this is a heavy metal copper pen. Like this deserves to be carried in your pocket and things, and having that clip, which, is very secure on there. Like it does move around a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. Means that you can secure it in your pocket quite nicely. And here we have the Gravitas pens, copper entry, once again with a fine nib. And it's interesting to see across all these inked pens just the variety of what fine can mean. Normally I would find my collection sort of very much loaded with mediums, but you can see in this setup there's a lot of fines happening at the moment. Maybe I'm heading that way. The ink in this is Tono and Limbs, number 19. I can't remember the full name of it, but if you search that up, you'll find it. This is a really interesting sort of dark, almost sort of like foresty green, not super saturated, a little dry. Not my favorite ink. I do love the color, but I don't love the performance. But in a pen like this that does write, you know, wet-ish, and, you know, that I am carrying around as like an everyday carry pen, I sometimes don't mind that. So yeah, the copper entry here will be getting a full review on my channel this month. Okay, now lastly, another pair of pens. We have two, once again, Moonman or Majohn pens. We have the P36 that I reviewed a couple of years ago and didn't like really love. And then I've got the Blue Metal P136 here. Now I will be showing these in detail in the full sort of review. You can see they are similarly modeled and all that kind of stuff. Like we're talking about like a 146 from Mont Blanc, and then like this one's very clearly modeled off the Blue Hour Solitaire from Mont Blanc. You know, that's just the way they are. But this P136 Blue Metal is absolutely beautiful. It might be one of the most visually beautiful pens in my collection. And yes, it is modeled off the Mont Blanc the Mont Blanc Solitaire Blue Hour. But nevertheless, absolutely beautiful. And if I ever got the chance to have one of those Mont Blanc, I would probably look at getting one of those. But we have the Majohn P136 Blue Metal, and this is a fine. And both of these are inked with the same ink, which is Waterman Mysterious Blue, which is their it's their blue black, if you will. Once again, not the darkest blue black, but I do love this ink. I love the color of it. I love how the ink performs. It's actually a great ink for writing or for using for reviews, because, you know, it's a pretty sort of middle of the road sort of performance in terms of wetness and all those kinds of things. And then we have the, I'll say Majohn again, but this one is labeled as Moonman P136, and this is just the, you know, the standard sort of, I'll just put plastic. This one has some funny sort of like, it's a medium, like weird scratchiness on the nib. But I tell you what, it brings out the color of that ink nicely, that sort of slightly broader nib there, but not super broad. But you can see how the ink dries. You know, we're talking about one's wetter than the other. Same ink, same pen brand, all of that kind of thing, but, you know, very, very different performance, quite different pens. So you'll be seeing a review of this one. This was very kindly sent to me, I should say, by Easy Buy on Etsy, and I'll link to their, you know, details in the full review and everything, but you can easily find them. Beautiful pen. And I really like how it writes. So it's doing some good things. And but yeah, I'll be showing it in comparison a bit more with the plastic version in that full review. But that is what I'm writing with this month. You can see I've got a nice range of sort of ink colors. There's a lot of blue there, but these are, you know, sort of partnered for reviews and things like that. But between the Pelikan M1000 there with that beautiful broad, soft-ish, springy, fine nib, that amazing Gravitas monster with Octopus Fluids, Fountain Feather, Sheet Vetta ink, the classic, you know, EDC for me, Wingback fountain pen, the Pilot Custom Urushi, which is just such an incredibly beautiful and, you know, gorgeous pen to write with. There with Diamond Imperial Purple, we've got the Parker 25 and the Majohn B25 there up for sort of a comparison video. The EDC of the Lamy 2000 that just carries so beautifully and writes so well with that Lamy petrol ink. The Asvine V800, bang for buck, one of the best pens you can get on the market. Great nib. You can see it writes relatively wet. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick up the sheen on that ink as well, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. That beautiful sort of, you know, rich, saturated, you know, almost sort of cerulean blue, I suppose. The Benu Sunstone, gorgeous pen. with SBRE Brown Ink, great partnership. The Gravitas pens, copper entry, heavy, bold pen to write with Tonal Nibs number 19, and then the Majohn B136, P136 blue metal and P136 plastic with Waterman Mysterious blue there. So that's what I'm writing with this month. So that's the pens I'm writing with in February 2026. I hope you found this video interesting. I'm going to make one of these each month because my rotation changes and it gives everyone a little hint as to what I'm reviewing through the month as well. So thank you for watching. I love having you here on my channel. Like and subscribe, and if you are interested in becoming a member, please check that out below. I would really love to see you in the stationery drawer. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.